I was hoping with the inauguration for a real like Tom Clancy's Debt of Honor type situation, or I guess alternatively like a designated survivor situation where, obviously like, no more Trump, no more Vance. And it's the guy who used to roll logs who Trump put in charge of the Department of Transportation. He's president now. And we just get like 4 years of log rolling.
Check this out. Pete Hegseth has not shown up to the inauguration because he fell off the wagon in the limousine bar. And then it's going to be like, Pete, you have to be president. You're never going to be able to be president unless you can like defeat your drinking. And then we get like gritty president. Not gritty as in the fucking hockey thing, like a dark gritty president.
Yeah, it sets up like a redemption arc. Yeah. You get like a kind of punished Hegseth.
Yeah.
I really like November's idea of the designated survivor who just does not meet the moment and just does what they were doing beforehand. Like, I'm the head of fisheries, and every time they try to rebuild the country, it's like, all right, but how are the fish doing?
My first love is the fish.
Look, I was born to be head of fisheries. I was forced to be president. I refuse to take on any more responsibilities. The fish come first.
But I will use all the powers of the office of president to pursue Greg Stubbe for his crimes against the fish.
I mean, oh God, seeing the, I would say, pretty carnival-esque atmosphere across the Atlantic right now. The
Carnival, you say?
No. Listener, you don't need to know anything about what Milo is referencing. Is I have seen no end. I try to think, like, what's the differences between Trump 2025 and Trump like 2016, 17?
He's going to do way more of the Hitler stuff, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the main thing. Not to sort of detract from the vibe here, but it really does seem like point one on the agenda is all the Hitler stuff. Way more than last time,
Yeah.
I heard a British lib interviewed on the radio today, and he said he's like, Trump is a disaster. A lot of people are saying he's like American Hitler, but he's actually like American Stalin. And what he meant by that was worse than Hitler. I don't think you've got the order of who's worse correct there.
Or maybe he just meant like Trump is going to pursue a policy of capitalism in one country. He's already disappeared Vivek.
There you go. Trump's photoshopping people out.
Yeah. Vivek was like hiding behind his massive son. I saw that on the TV. Like, I was at the gym and I was like, "Where's like?" There's this little speck of like brown guy like behind. It's like so like that's the strategy that every time someone like fucks up, we're just gonna hide him behind Barron.
You disparaged white people. Get behind Barron.
You want to be visible? Grow taller. Okay, you want to be seen? Should have been a bigger guy.
The more nice stuff you say about white people, Vivek, the taller a stool will give you.
You must be at least this tool to govern.
Yeah, so one of the things is the difference is obviously we sort of broached this in our discussion with Mike Isaac about a lot of the tech CEOs that are all queuing up to sort of kiss Trump's feet.
Ugh.
Is that in 2016-17 the mono party, the mono party on both sides of the Atlantic as well, had not lined up foursquare behind just him as normal and the stuff he wants to do as regular.
Yeah.
Right?
They were still outsiders, and now that's very different in the sense that like JD Vance's wife is being dressed by Oscar de la Renta. You saw Trump kind of like making nice with Obama at like Carter's funeral, and so I think the kind of elite across both parties has made its accommodation and have just decided, oh yeah, this is normal, which is not a great combination with all of Trump's people really deciding that what they need to do this term is make him lock in on the Hitler stuff instead of just being a kind of weird musical theater dilettante like he was last term.
Yeah. And he didn't get anyone to play his inauguration last time. This time he got his favorite band, the Village People. Yeah. He got everything he wanted.
The Assless chap saluted him.
Yeah, well, there we go.
That's like a dream November would have.
I hate gay Hitler so much, and like this is the thing. Like day one, he's done this kind of like declaration of war on like trans people in general, and it's so humiliating. Just like adding insult to injury to be the victim of that at the hands of a guy who likes the Village People and like musical theater this much, and it's just kind of insulting,
Nelly and Snoop Dogg are playing at the inauguration.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Nelly's gonna play like Tip Drill or something. That's like
But like, this is the thing, right? Because one of the other things about the new Trump administration is I saw this in the Financial Times. I saw like a senior banking executive get quoted as saying, "Oh, it's like, it's like liberation basically, because now we can say," and then he said 2 slurs. So
Hell
like,
yeah. Oh God. Sorry. I'm too fixated on the idea of Trump doing like this like little dance that he does to like
the little
line.
hand dance he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't really like do the whole thing. He did a little bit of one like on the move when the guy saluted him. But
But like doing this to the line, "Girl, it must be your ass," or no, "Girl, it must wait, because it ain't your face. I need a tip drill." So like,
Yeah.
love it.
Didn't he get like at his first inauguration? Didn't he get like 3 doors down thrust upon him? Like, wasn't that the only band who would do it?
oh my god, yeah.
Glow up.
Because that's not shit he likes. Like 3 doors down being foisted on him is like an insult that lives in Trump's brain on parity with like Obama humiliating him at the correspondence dinner that made him want to be president in the first place. Like it's just like, and so he's determined to recover from that by getting, I guess, the one remaining village person and 3 new village people.
Imagine how happy he would be if he got the entire cast of the chorus line to perform the entire musical for his inauguration.
Folks, they brought the whole village out just for me.
Well, something to look forward
Every
to
single person.
for the 3rd inauguration, I guess.
Yeah. And then she said she tried to melt just to see how an ice cream felt, and I melted inside. That's a quote from the musical A Chorus Line. Anyway, look. We have Nick and Ciaran from Corner Spaeti here joining us. We are going to, in addition to talking, of course, about the inauguration of President Trump for his 3rd term, because he also won in 2020. So this is actually his 3rd term. He was secretly governing in 2020.
That's we're
that's
going
right.
in on that.
For this next Trump inauguration, we're also going to be turning our attention over to Europe, something we've been meaning to do for a little while, and look at all of the Euro Trumps that are appearing throughout the continent.
Yeah, all the ways.
Not here, of course.
All the ways in which, like, Europe in particular, but across the world, people are trying to kind of grovel to Trump and control Trump and like offer Trump things that he likes.
Euro Trump is such a powerful idea.
Berlusconi.
We love to get up in the morning, don't we, folks?
I was about to say.
Yeah, we love to have a glass of milk, don't we? Maybe a cheese sandwich.
It's not Trump unless it comes from the slur region of, I'm going to say Serbia. I feel like slur would be a name of a place in Serbia.
Yeah.
But before we get to Europe, I want to stick to the US for a little bit, just because that's where the stuff is happening. I noticed there was one sort of thought that I felt to be completely inescapable, which is the self-congratulation of very rich people who are finally comfortable voting Republican because they have been able to, free themselves culturally from the shackles that, like, being a lib makes you a good person.
You mean getting a
divorce,
divorce? Like,
America's entering its divorce era. It's been kind of like all of these guys are going, well, it was a rough 4 years of having to, pretend that I liked my kids, but now I can just kind of, I can lock in on whatever the fuck I want, which is pretending to be good at video games, saying the word, any number of like fun right-wing divorce dad activities.
Every room a man cave.
We're going to make America into a Reddit male living space.
So, for example, one of the co-founders of Airbnb, not Chesky, the other one, does I don't like to do Twitter review unless it is very worth it, has written, I have a confession to make. I did a bad thing, something the younger me would hate myself for doing. By the way, this is all line breaks, like it's a fucking like Shel Silverstein poem.
Wait, so he's actually doing, I've got a confession to make.
Something, I voted Republican last November. So he says, I'm late to the party on this, but today we stop hiding the truth from our close never-Trumper friends, that we support a party that isn't going to run this country into a ground, etc., etc., etc. And then talking about how great RFK is, how he's going to free us from vaccines or whatever. And the language that he uses, and that then, again, all of the tech people coming out of the woodwork, including a guy who started a company called Blounce, which makes children's storybooks or whatever, right? Like an Austrian right-winger who's like, I founded Blounce, which makes children's storybooks. Or no, it's called Blunge, excuse me. And they're all
How dare I say
talking
this nonsense word incorrectly.
They're all talking to each other as though they have just come out to their religious conservative parents and they have a chosen family of reactionary billionaires. It is the level of it's when you're using that language from the position of, I'm a billionaire and I'm tired of you oppressing me by your vague disapproval. It feels so fucking whiny. And I am compelled to say that all of the like junk bond touting corporate raider Reaganauts that like comprised a huge part of the GOP money base in the 1980s would never be caught fucking dead. Being like,
oh, you're being mean to me. No, that's not the greed is good shit. That's not even where Donald Trump comes from, you know? And he's a very whiny man, but he's whiny in a different way, right?
He's bitchy.
I guess the last ditch of kind of like any kind of anti-Trump or like anti-Republican thing right now is they can't make people not think that they're weird and annoying, right? And there's so long as there's some kind of vague personal disapproval, all of these people are going to drive themselves insane over it. And that's kind of nothing, but you know, it's still more effective opposition than the Democrats. So
so you know what we now have essentially, right, is a normalized and much more extreme Trump in the States celebrating his inauguration by doing his little hand dance to YMCA,
announcing mass deportations.
Announcing mass deportations, ending birthright citizenship, basically like declaring transgender people to be unpeople.
Well, this is the deal, right? Like TikTok back in, they them pussy out, they them dick out, she her dick out, he him pussy out. You know, I hope you're happy with that art of the deal, America.
My For You screen decimated.
It's all just the village people now.
It's like it's the Twilight Zone episode of like there was time now. Just an empty For You screen.
Actually, I think though, you know, the US military for a long time has lacked a camp salute like the British military has. So I would like to see Trump introduce the YMCA hand gesture as the new salute. That's what they should do when when you meet each other in the corridor, you got to do the full.
Oh, right.
That's the quick. But you got to do it like quick and snappy in like a military way, like I can click your heels together. You know,
like, you got to do it like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, guys, and it's got to be like sort of respectful,
weird, like ketamine.
Soldier, you did not pirouette properly to this my rank.
You know, they're playing YMCA.
Private, your trousers are not assless. Where did you get these non-regulation assful trousers? I can't see hole, Corporal. Private hole, your hole is not private. Your hole belongs to me and the U.S. government. But what he does this list of terrible things, and then also does 2 crypto rug pulls simultaneously.
What do you call an act like that?
It's a Hawk Tour. I'm trying. Hawk Tour.
Hawk Tour with a 2 instead of
a 2.
Pretty good. That's really good.
Yeah, everyone, please just tell me that was a good joke. Thank you.
No, it was very good.
2 Hawk 2 Tour.
That's right. Eagle Tua, actually.
Well, she ran so he could fly. That's my main takeaway from all of this.
Hawk Tour, I don't even need to spit on it. They buy it anyway. Okay, I'll do it dry and they'll still love it.
So he took to Truth Social. I love that he still posts on Truth Social. He's like, Elon's still not getting it. Show me his unedited speed run. Maybe then. But it says, my new official Trump meme is here. Remember we talked about how he started World Liberty Financial, or with like his son started World Liberty Financial, right? And they were going to be, it's going to be the future of like decentralized finance, the future of lending. And then immediately, like on his inauguration day, releases a series of family themed coins, all of which spike. Again, when I say spike in value to like $60 billion, I don't really mean that they were ever worth $60 billion. And once again, the financial illiteracy of our journalist class is fully on display here, as they're like, wow, he's now worth $60 billion. It's like that's just because there's no one buying or selling it, almost.
It feels so surreal that this presidency, that for all I know is going to end in like nuclear exchange or Trump getting executed on the White House lawn by like the woke US military, is beginning with the YMCA revival and crypto rug pulls. It's like first is farce and then is tragedy.
Biden and Trump having some like Jewel of the Fates shit on the White House lawn. Biden being like, there's one thing you forgot, Mac. And then opening his jacket and the suicide vest, like, oh, I actually forgot too.
It's weird that Biden showed first reformed in the White House right before he left.
So, of course, the market obviously reacted instantaneously, because if you're going to trade Solana memes, then basically you just try to be the first into a thing and then sell it before it crashes.
Yeah, it's a very quick. It's like an express kidnapping, but for pyramid schemes.
Yeah, it's a very, very, it's like a drive-by Ponzi
It's
scheme.
a very
Yeah,
fast pyramid.
Yeah, it's kind of like a stalagmite. You know, it's like really.
It's like, what if the Irish guys that built the pyramids, what if they all had rocket boots, essentially?
Only.
Preach, brother.
They say the Trump coin reached a market cap of 13.6 billion, with its fully diluted valuation soaring to 67 billion, and then all sorts of graphs of his net worth come out. It's like, wow, he's worth like $70 billion because 67 of it is in Trump coin. Again, you cannot. Something is not worth something if you can't sell all of it. If you can't sell all of it, then it's worth that much. It's worth how much you can sell it for, which isn't $67 billion.
That's a lot of big words to say that you're jealous of the most successful man in the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true. That's thank you for keeping me honest.
I mean, a cafe in Neukölln opens. We are no card. We don't trust the banks. We only take Trump coin.
You're still mad about that one place.
It's every place.
Which place? I'm curious. Was there?
Bar Keith and Schiller Promenade.
Oh yeah. Wait, is that the one that takes Bitcoin or some shit?
Yeah.
Oh,
They do a good Radler though. They make it fresh with actual lemon. I like that
That's
place.
Like,
No,
they're just tricking you. Like
They're one of the places in Berlin that has those stickers that say like with the Bitcoin symbol on it being like "Stop Wars," and it's just like with
fucking
Bitcoin
God.
on. Somehow,
That's the most coherent ideology you can expect in Germany, I think.
yeah.
It's like the coexist bumper sticker, but written with the symbols of different cryptocurrencies.
yes.
Yeah.
It's like Cardano, AVE, Polygon. So this is British Bitcoiner and podcast host Peter McCormack, founder of What Bitcoin Did, sharply criticized Trump's move, saying, Trump coin is embarrassing. This is the opposite of what people voted for. And it's like, no, it's not. It's exactly what people voted for. They voted for rug pulls in YMCA and unimaginable cruelty.
Yeah.
This is from the Crypto Podcast. This is a place of dignity. Trump coin is a fire.
And also, the last thing, because we're going to talk in more depth about the various crypto rug pulls on the bonus episode this week. I've already spoken with TF Crypto correspondent Molly White, and I did get the date right this time.
Nice.
As opposed to that last time I announced Ciaran was coming on 2 weeks ago. That's not the only rug pull, where Ryan Fournier, who I don't know if you know, is like one of these like lower level MAGA people, chair of students for Trump, either launches or is handed a pile of a coin called Tik Tok. Because again, meme coins work by just something, it's literally the currency of attention, right? Everyone's paying attention to TikTok, so you buy a coin called Tik Tok because other people are paying attention to it and will buy it on the hopes that they can offload it to someone else later. It's like it is gambling just with on attention. Handed a pile of TikTok coin or starts it, which is made by the way on pump.fun, which is
Okay.
How is that not bored?
Oh, I know the person who runs Pump.Fun. I met him at Christmas. Anyway, and his mother was like, is this a real job?
Yeah.
He was like, he seems to be making a lot of money, but I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, the guy. Anyway, he was implicated in the launching of the TikTok coin.
Nice enough.
Yeah, I'm sure he
I
is.
wouldn't have pegged him as a crypto guy. I feel like normally crypto guys, you can really spot them. You know, they exude a vibe.
It's normalization again.
Yeah.
Well, he's a crypto picks and shovels guy because he doesn't do any of the coins. He just makes the infrastructure for other people to make the coins.
Yeah, the gold rush, you sell pump.fun.
Yeah.
Just 100 years later, you're like, why is the main university here named Pump.Fun University? And it's like, oh, there was a whole robber baron arc. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'm protesting the Pump.Fun wing of the library because of how many like degenerate gamblers it put into the poorhouse. Yeah, Oxford University must rename the Pump.Fun biology laboratory.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ryan Fournier, chair of students for Trump, has this like huge pile of TikTok coin made on Pump Fun, and then he immediately, as soon as he sees the price go down, he like controls all the liquidity. He just sells all of it, which is like that's unethical if not downright illegal. But what happened is he said then, no, you don't understand. I thought the price was going to go down, so I sold all of this coin that I kind of made. I don't know who wouldn't do that, which is just saying no, it was pumped, so I dumped.
Yeah, it's a logical thing to do.
Yeah, when you pump, you have to dump. What are you talking
when you
about?
pump, that's the fun. And then when the pump is over, it's not fun anymore.
It's very like a sort of circular argument where it's just like these coins exist in order for for you to do pump and dump schemes.
Yeah.
And so doing anything other than that kind of runs counter to the objectives of these coins in the first place. And therefore, it's not illegal because you're doing the thing that it's designed to do. It just looks illegal if you were doing it with an actual currency.
It is if you made the currency and hold all of the liquidity of it. Or at least it's unethical.
I mean, it does sort of feel like there's a very sort of thin line. But again, I go back to like Hawk Tuah ran so everyone else could fly. And seemingly she was like ahead of her time in terms of like figuring out what the economy was going to look like for the next 4 years.
Well, I like also, you did a pump and dump and your defense, and his defense after is, I was too stupid to realize I was engaged in a pump and dump scheme.
The Wayne Hennessy defense.
Or the Alex Jones defense of like, I ate too much chili and therefore it like messed with my cognitive sense of being.
Is there a dump.misery? Like a stir website?
That's me between 10 and 11 a.m. every morning.
That's right. The one time is impossible to work with. But I want to begin to cross the Atlantic, right?
Yeah, so do a lot of Americans, I feel.
The UK side of the story, of course, is Labour, the Conservatives, all arguing about Trump and should we accept Trump? And everyone says, well, yes, of course we should. The only person who seems to be having a very difficult time with that over here is, of course, Peter Mandelson, the man who has been given his dream job.
And I don't know why this was his dream job, a British ambassador to the US. Like maybe he went there at one point and the ambassador's residence has like a really nice bathtub or something, but like it's all he's wanted. And he had to like claw and like scheme and plot to get this job. And now he's gotten it and Trump hates him, which is weird because you think they would bond over the mutual friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, but instead...
Yeah, I don't know, maybe their dicks touched once or something.
Just had a bad vibe at a Jeffrey Epstein orgy. Just like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah, for many years I've been climbing the buttery staircase of British politics in order to feed my Whataburger addiction. Finally, my dream has come true.
Yeah, this is the only gay guy I don't like. Get him out of here. I don't want him being ambassador.
We're gonna make him stand behind Barron. No funny stuff. At a distance.
In the background.
We're gonna accept Peter Mandelson as ambassador from the United Kingdom, but we're gonna be fucking with him constantly. We're gonna be playing pranks on him. We're gonna treat the UK embassy like it's the snooty frat house.
We're gonna put him in the YMCA, but we're gonna give him a letter that's not in the acronym. It's gonna be Q. Okay.
He's gonna have to go on stage and he's gotta figure out Q.
It's the hardest one to do. You gotta do it in midair.
All right, shall we see him try?
Jump, Mandy. Do it for me.
Peter Mandelson gets to be the ambassador to the U.S., but he has to do the plot of The Running Man, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The really funny thing about this is that the previous ambassador, for some reason, Trump really liked her, and she had this reputation as being like the Trump whisperer because like they got along quite well. And it's not difficult to get along with Trump for a certain kind of person. You just have to find that person, and that kind of person is now like a strategic national asset for every country in the world. It's like we're going into the national oath stockpile.
We need someone who's the perfect balance of like a kind of catty flatterer.
Yeah.
Alan Carr, British ambassador to the US.
And so, it's like what we have done. This is something you mentioned a few weeks ago when we were first talking about like the sort of the UK between Europe and the US, is we picked ourselves up by the lapels and chucked ourselves out of Europe, hoping that there would just be a kind of warm Atlanticism for us to kind of, just sink into.
Yeah. Catch me. And then it occurs to us that like Trump still kind of likes Elon Musk, and Elon Musk has gotten like radicalized against Keir Starmer specifically. So now we have this idea that Trump's like, well, I hear that this guy's Hitler. I hear that he's very unfair to free speech and I don't like him. And it's just like, okay, well, what a brilliant plan this was, And
the guy whose job is going to be trying to make the diplomatic relationship work.
Well, he's trying to make a big Q right now.
Yeah. Is, if anything, one of the only people in the world Trump dislikes more than like Keir Starmer.
The British love a Q. He's going to have a great time.
And it's kind of his perfect style because he can't not put Mandelson in that job until Trump rejects him because of like weird Labour Party nepotism and internal politics. So it's like he's a prisoner of all this in so many ways.
Oh, well, we should make the guy who eats the Chinese food the ambassador.
Big John.
Big John.
We should make Big John.
Trump would respect Big John.
Yeah,
Yeah, he would.
He loves a big guy, right? And so consequently, the national strategic big guy stockpile has dwindled terribly.
This guy has got an incredible relationship with China. He understands China, and he says bash. You see him, everything he says bash. I say hello, he says bash. I say bash bash. Great guy.
and we say bosh bosh. And we say bosh bosh.
I'd love to see Trump on the Big John Chinese sit down. I think it'd be like one of the most revealing things.
You know, Kamala was invited to go on the Big John Chinese sit down and didn't actually go.
That's why she lost.
Yeah. She should have campaigned more in Romford. She lost the blue orchid. Weirdly, it's about 7 electoral votes, but it's perfect 50-50 swing.
Yeah. They uncovered a little bit of the Constitution that said one patch of Romford that is now the Blue Orchid Chinese restaurant is technically a state.
It's all to do with the War of 1812. Yeah, we're all technically American citizens.
Yeah. Sod that double tax, though. I'm paid in cash in hand. Anyway, I want to talk about Europe. Ciaran, Nick, what the fuck is going on in Europe? And please, can you start by giving our listeners an update on the political future of Cypriot Mister Beast?
Yes.
My boy, what's his name again? Fidias?
Fidias. We love Fidias. So Fidias his political career is he's the first independent MEP from Cyprus, a country that sends 6 people to the European Parliament. What he is in practice is he's a man who cyber stalked a Mr. Beast alike, a Mr. Beast adjacent person into meeting up with him, making a video and hugging him, and then made his name by trying to use Japanese public transport for free. Much to the dismay of Japanese police who do not speak English or Greek. Fidias has just kind of stumbled into the parliament mostly because his YouTube career was failing and just seems to respond politically to whoever is the top comment on his like X posts, which is usually it's usually Elon Musk or Andrew Tate.
I was gonna say that's kind of transparent, but then Twitter blue checks really kind of fucked with that.
Yeah. Especially because he'll be like, I put the poll up to see what we can do a special investigation in the European Union, and you people voted for the trans problem. I will put a special envoy. Yeah. So it's just like one of the wildest things that is seeing them. He's like doing like, I guess, like direct democracy through Twitter. I believe it's Twitter, right? And
it's TikTok as well.
Yeah. Where it's just like people who are clearly not Cypriot citizens, first off, probably not in the European Union, and just like right-wing normal X users will just then go and kind of, vote for these polling things. And he's part of all these really bizarre committees in the European Union. So that then, of course, means that he has access to then, put in like special reports and be a full-time MEP. I guess also the thing too to remember that's like no one in Cyprus votes in the European Union elections, and he kind of just like got in by the fact of they have a historically low like voter turnout traditionally.
He is a strange man. Like politically, it's hard to pin him down. I think he's actually a dungist because like he will just go along and be like, here are the foreign committees I've joined. I've joined the Middle East committee because it's close to my country of Cyprus. Sure. I've joined the America committee because I'm interested. I've joined the China committee because it is the future. I'm like, oh, okay, man, that's a weird thing to just say in Brussels. I don't think you can say that too loudly.
I like that my favorite element of his vibe is how everything that he says feels like a kind of like year 3 school report.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
the best is that.
It's like, this is an Emmy. This is why I love Europe is there are so many political institutions where like you just just win for showing up. It's the most participation trophy as like political system that I've ever heard of.
He became a politician via a Mr. Beast style competition, which just so happens to be the European Parliament elections. Like, I made 1,000 people politicians overnight.
He genuinely ran from one end of Cyprus to the other to get votes and made that a video.
Yeah.
Can be logistically complicated.
Yeah, you gotta
depending
be
on which way
careful
you
about
run
it.
I was shot by someone in the RAF. Yeah.
I still think that like one of my favorite Fidias moments was when he was an election observer in Georgia on behalf of the European Union. And it's like filming people just like getting in fist fights in wherever in the middle of, rural Georgia that he is. And he's just like, nothing bad happened. Elections went perfectly fine. Just a...
We even saw a cool fight.
Yeah.
He was filming this old woman come in like, yay, first photo of the day. And it's like a woman who was born before the Russian Empire collapsed. Kind of.
She doesn't actually know that it has. Yeah. Hey, lad, they're probably voting over who can be Chinese the first. It's a great honor.
Which box do I tick for Tsar? A cheer goes up from waiting voters.
Arriving in Georgia, like, no, it's fine. I just didn't think it would be Chinese.
Yeah, this is our best in Europe, but I want to talk more, in fact, about Europe's spluttering economic engine, the Franco-German relationship, starting with, of course, Germany. I'm going to read a little bit from The Economist.
In the blue corner.
It is a bitingly cold evening in Bautzen, a handsome town nestled in the Oberlausitz, deep in the East German state of Saxony. But spirits are high at the election stand of the hard-right AfD. Quote, "Our land first because we love Germany," proclaim banners in the party's trademark bright blue. The mood inside the party is really good, beams Frank Peskel, who sits in Saxony's parliament. They took 39% of the vote here in last year's European election, and we struggled to find any local not planning to vote for it at the national election in February. Simon, a 20-year-old, says, "The left calls us Nazis, but we just want a normal life." And this seems to be how AfD is, I would say, portrayed. I don't know if it's ignorantly or deceptively or whatever, that it's like, oh no, this is, how can they be far right? People just want a nice life where we like deport everyone of a certain skin tone or darker to the tune of like Annalena by Honk and DJ Hootsie.
This is like when you read like a footnote where it's like, in German, the word normal can also mean Nazi.
I mean, it's just the sense of like, traditionally the Nazis, wanted everything abnormal. They were very much against normal life in Germany, as everyone knows. But I think it's kind of always like a bit of both in this scenario. I mean, especially like, I feel that then a lot of like English language journalists can kind of do the thing that German idiot journalists do. They're like, we sent someone to Trump country, and this, it's like you're going to, like, Bautzen is a former like economic whatever powerhouse of East Germany, a economy that doesn't exist, and of course the city is completely in ruins. And there is, of course, a bit of truth with the sense that people in the East voted overwhelmingly AfD, for obviously the migration reasons, but the since reunification, the East has been heavily exploited by the West. Wages are incredibly low there. There was a thing for the longest time called like the Zoli funds, which was money that then West Germany was still like giving to East Germany to rebuild, that were like just recently gotten rid of. And I think that they're trying to get rid of them this election. But 30 years after the wall fell, there's still like a special fund for East Germany. There is no industry there.
They have like a life expectancy 10 years lower.
Yeah, exactly.
In the West
So
as well.
there is a bit of this truth to this, but also at the same time too, like the AfD is getting bigger everywhere in Germany. The AfD is the second like highest polling party in Germany. In like Nordrhein-Westfalen, like in the West, which is also a post-industrial area, the AfD is also quite powerful in there as well. They also did quite well in the elections in Niedersachsen, which is another state in the West. In like the metropoles, I guess they're quite unpopular, but I mean, even in Berlin, they do quite decent. So I think that there is a bit of then like, yes, of course, the economic shock of East Germany, any party that then kind of comes and says, we're going to then, do something different can be appealing to these. This is also traditionally an area that then still voted for Die Linke for quite some time. And the CDU was also probably like the second strongest area. But then since they had been under CDU governance for such a long time, a lot of these voters from the CDU kind of then like flock into into than the AFD in the East. Fast forward to now in like the post-migration crisis, you know, in quotes, and such, the AFD has really kind of just normalized themselves as then we want to do like the migration thing is very much at the front of their party policy this year. They've been going around Germany and I mean also kind of influencing the European Union on a greater level with just like lying about migration, which is a normal thing I think now for everywhere. The economy for them actually really isn't as big of a deal as they kind of like try to make it out to be. So it is really the sense of that they've created a general fear within Germany around migration for like more or less like 3 years because they didn't really grasp COVID very well. Like their post-COVID numbers kind of sucked, but it isn't the sense that people want normal, like, you know, oh, we want normal things, this and then that. If they did, they wouldn't vote for the AFD. They're a hyper-libertarian party. They like the culture war bullshit. People who are in tune with the AFD kind of don't pay attention to mainstream media, typically as like other right-wing landscapes, and they've driven themselves insane over migration, woke bullshit, and these other like non-existent sort of issues in Germany. And they're polling currently like at like 22% nationally. So you can't even just blame East Germany for that alone, you know?
Yeah, the numbers don't add up. This high polling can't just be East Germans. The thing that I think they got to quite early compared to like a lot of other parties in the rest of the world even is like green backlash stuff. They hopped on that super quick, which Germany was ripe for because Germany has always had this very like, you bring your own bags to the supermarket, you have to buy an electric vehicle, you have to recycle the cans kind of attitude to green transition.
They want me to bring my own bag to the supermarket, but they won't let me bring the one with the swastika on it. I don't understand. Is it perfect? I'm reusing a very old bag. Why would I buy a new bag? This is bad for the environment. I have this very old bag.
We kind of talked about it recently on a podcast, but like there is this real crisis, particularly with both AFD and the CDU, of kind of admitting that they think that green energy is a little fruity or whatever, but then not acknowledging that they can't go back to the cheap Russian gas. There isn't really a way to get that going again.
I suppose this is one of those things you realize, oh, that doesn't matter, right? Because you're actually doing almost as like an entertainment force, a political party as an entertainment provider, is you are saying, hey, you don't like all this green energy, you think it's just a little bit like sensitive and it sort of activates your inner bully. Guess what? We'll get the fuck rid of it. And then the people are entertained and, you know, you kind of do your best and then you don't really deliver it. It doesn't matter because, you know, you have triggered the lib.
There's also like something to be said because like two of the things that sort of have come up in this episode really kind of pertain to like attention and the idea of like so much of politics recently, but also I think the thing that will be really definitive throughout the States and also in Europe and in the UK as well will be how like political reactionaries, populists, whatever you want to call them, how they sort of are able to manipulate attention and the ways in which like the people who are the sort of parties that seem to be able to do it well have sort of recognized that like you can sort of use low attention spans and anger, especially like anger channeled online, to make yourself like not accountable for anything, but also like you never have to sort of fulfill any of your promises, right? And you can also be really successful at it.
Like you know what people like from the AFD? They like that like one of their local parties goes around heavily migrant areas putting
the
like
airplane leaflets in.
Yeah, that was in West Germany too, by the way. That was in Karlsruhe. Yeah. So it's even the thing too of like the AFD is kind of, and I think that's a very good thing to point out with the AFD, especially they kind of do this thing where, which is kind of interesting for Germany because you get in serious trouble for it, but like the attention that they get is for them breaking the law all the time.
Yeah.
Like they're constantly, you know,
they're always doing stunts.
Yeah, Alice,
like a certain Mister,
a certain YouTuber. And it's not actually that far-fetched in the sense of like I think the thing that people like, or like, you know, the sort of big figures like Mr. Beast have done, but you know, it's not to sort of say that he's a pioneer, but it's more just like, well, okay, the kind of main system of communication that everyone is tied to is one that also incentivizes like consistent and perpetual novelty, right? And also we are, you know, as this whole TikTok thing kind of showed, like lots and lots of people are so kind of addicted and are so like they believe that they kind of need these platforms that can hold their attention in like these 10 second or like 20-second jumps because, you know, in a lot of cases for the people who were complaining about the TikTok ban when they thought it was going to be more permanent, like the thing that they said is like, well, what are we going to do without it? So there's this very interesting sense of like dependent on this type of system that rewards continuous novelty, and political parties, in some political parties that are very able to like indulge that. And what's also very interesting is that the parties that are not able to do that really have no fucking idea what to do, because they can't really win on any sort of economic arguments. They can't really win on any international arguments. Like the British Labour Party is a very good example of this, right? Like they can only sort of abide by a very stringent playbook that like keeps fucking them over, and they're going to keep wondering like, why does this keep happening?
Well, you know what they can do is they can try and fail to be entertaining, right? With the example of their like strange body horror video of anthropomorphic animals announcing like different means-tested school lunch policies or whatever, right?
It comes off as very weird, but I think the final point that I'll make on this is like, well, the stunts that work, like, and in general, like, you know, you think about like the things that people are really entertained by, you know, even like non-politically, it's like stuff where people are embarrassed, where people sort of get like, you know, that they're sort of like observed and judged. A lot of like the content that goes viral, and I think sort of very much has like a political tinge to it, is one where like you are sort of shaming people, like lots of different things. I think like, you know, the sort of abundance of like Andrew Tate style misogynistic content is a very good example of this. And I think it's just like you have political parties who are just kind of like on the right, who are very aware of this impulse and also recognize that like, as you guys have mentioned, like, you know, they don't really give a shit about economics anymore. They don't really give a shit about like actually fixing things materially. None of the far right parties are actually like promising the people that they are saying we're going to get rid of the immigrants and make your life easier. They're not actually sort of saying how they're going to do that.
Oh, the AFD has a plan, absolutely. It is to break German law, but still, I mean, like is the thing too, is that then it's like, I agree to a lot of points about I guess Germany's a bit different of an ecosystem because of how Germans interact with social media is not the same as the UK or the US. Like it is like Twitter's not a thing really here. Not that it was, you know, popular before Elon, but after Elon, it's been even less so. I mean, I guess in right-wing circles, but they've also like kind of done the kind of Trump branding too, where they're also very proud of being like stupid. The like, you know, they're like one of their election posters has a guy with the shirt, and it like the slogan says, "Finally, I can say what I want again," and then his shirt says #Schwachkopf, which in German means like weak-minded, and he's like proudly like standing there like laughing. And
pride.
Yeah, and it's
a t-shirt they might have made you wear in Germany at one time, but
yeah,
I mean, like to an extent, like because we talk about the deportation tickets they're handing out to presumably terrified people of color in Karlsruhe or whatever, but like the real gambit was the fact that it was like we handed out to 20 people here, it becomes a news story Germany wide, and a bunch of people just kind of like nod in agreement
and
with
the CDU wants to do the same policy
voted.
You know, which is even like the thing too is that the AFD has also like moved the Overton window of all the parties now to as far right as they probably historically have ever been, minus, you know, a little period in between, but you know.
Yeah, and they also like AFD is very good at spinning like a lot of these kind of like very German World War II memory law kind of stuff. Like Alice Weidel, who's the head of the party, got in trouble once for calling East Germany Middle Germany or Central Germany, which can't do that anymore. So like, but there's definitely like a non-zero number of guys who read that story being like, oh, you can't say anything anymore. Like I accidentally called East Germany Central Germany or whatever, and they're going to throw her in jail because of woke or whatever.
You can't even call it Königsberg anymore.
So what I'm learning here is that actually Cyprus is ahead of the curve because they already have a Cypriot Mr. Beast politician. But this is what Germany is crying out for. It's going to be like, I gave 20 immigrants plane tickets like soy face. So that's what they're looking for. Like, I retook the Sudetenland. You know, that's Herr Animal.
Yeah, no, it's elect Jeremy Fragrance to the Bundestag.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, where are you from?
I was accused of calling it Middle Germany. My father died.
The thing to remember about Germany as well is that the soundtrack to the creeping fascism is Schlager.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, too, is that,
vibes.
like it's the most bizarre thing seeing Alice Weidel, like, I mean, you do have members of the party, like Björn Höcke, who does, like, practice his Hitler shit in the mirror. You can tell. He has gotten in trouble for quoting Goebbels and used to write under the name, like, Land auf Ladech for the end NPD's like newspaper, the NPD being the actual Nazi party, that you can legally call them a Nazi party. But Alice Weidel kind of like tries to do it in a similar vein of this whole thing of like, oh, like, you know, they're not going to do this. And there's just videos of her just yelling like, they're not going to take our schnitzel. And like, you can't take it seriously because it really is exactly that. It is blasting like some guy named like, you know, DJ Harry Cock or whatever. Like, you know, letzter Zug nach fucking Mallorca or whatever. I don't know, bullshit song.
Have you heard about this guy, DJ Harry Cock?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna have him play my next inauguration, actually. Great guy.
K-O-C-H, folks. K-O-C-H.
And it is this thing too, because they do like that for them is German culture that they want to preserve. And I know that then people have, I talked about this like on a recent episode of Corner Spaeti of like people I think like to have a you know, even on the left, like a rosy eyed view of like how Nazis liked culture. They were still like morons in the 30s. You know, they hated anything that they saw as like degeneracy. It's kind of similarly to with how this is. And like I think Ciaran explained on the episode that it was like this is like the Nazis were kind of the equivalent of just like, oh well, like in our modern age would be like just guys who thought like Van Halen was like really cool in terms of like the like difference of time, you know?
It seems sophisticated now, but they were advocating for music that was just like 10 years older than jazz.
Yeah.
I love the song Yum. great songs.
But again, it's in Germany, all of this is soundtracked by like a DJ that includes an accordion.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And it's like songs about like, you know, like being like playing cowboy and Indian with your lover or whatever. Yeah. It's corny. It's horrible.
That is a specific
There's
song.
so
Cowboy
many
in Indiana.
songs about
yeah. There's Eine Woche Wach, Eine Woche Schnee. You know, Die Nacht Freitag auf Montag, Joanna. There's one unfortunately named Schwarze Natascha, and that's what they all want to bring back. They just want to this is what Germany is going to. It's their fascism is soundtracked to like.
The fucking number one for 3 weeks in the German charts was an AI generated song called
Verliebt in ein Talahun.
Like I fell in love with
in eine Talahun, which is a racial slur, unfortunately. I
fell in love with a racial slur for an Arab German. Yeah,
Jesus.
And it was in the style of like maybe more of a kind of an older Schlager, but Schlager nonetheless.
Yeah, let's talk about Alice Weidel before we finish off with our reading, which is crucially important that we get to the reading today. It is so important because it is one of the biggest stories I think of the last year. Alice Weidel is the leader of the AfD. This is from a profile from the FT. She does not fit the stereotype of a right-wing radical. She's married to a Sri Lankan-born Swiss film producer, Sarah Bossard, with whom she has 2 adopted children in Switzerland. After graduating, she spent time as an analyst for Goldman Sachs in Frankfurt and later wrote a doctoral thesis on the Chinese pension system. And, you know, I think this is a bit, you know, naive from the FT as being like, oh, hey, this person who appears to be culturally genteel, who has a lot of the markers of intelligence, like or culturedness, and is in touch with things that we do not consider to be vulgar, and also is a lesbian. You wouldn't expect this person to be a right-wing radical, and it's like, well, no, what you're mistaking is like you are mistaking things you recognize in someone, like you would consider to be normal, right? You're mistaking that for someone who's not then going to be, you might say, either extremely personally ambitious enough to start, you know, let's say referring to East Germany as Middle Germany, or who is simply a good person. You're mistaking these things for one another.
Yeah, it is quite funny though when it's like, do you hate Vogue? Boy, do I have the lesbian in a multiracial relationship for you. It's like it's not what you expected new Hitler to be. Aside from all the gentle, we know that was all bullshit about being educated or whatever, but that one detail is unusual.
Well, it's sort of international, like we've got gay Hitler and Trump, we've got lesbian Hitler and Alice Weidel. So, you know, I'm excited to find out about like bisexual Hitler, and then it's sort of
no one's ready for NB Hitler.
One last point to her biography that then I think is also quite interesting that the FT didn't put in it is that maybe they did, I didn't read it, but like she was bankrolled by the CDU for a while, like to do her like her
she's to kind kind of hammer home about like the AfD is not necessarily new politics in Germany, and like if the CDU wins this election, which they will, it's not a good thing. Like she is a CDU politician.
Yeah, the only reason that she went to the AfD is because her advisor for her PhD was like, who was a member of the CDU, was like, oh hey, there's a sick new cool party, you want to come with me? And he was one of the founders of the party.
Yeah, CDU's cucked.
Yeah.
We gotta go to this.
Her politics are incredibly normal in Germany, unfortunately. Like, you know, it does this whole like, you know, oh wow, can you believe this? But it's like these people, like most of them within the AfD, have been, I mean, they're the party with the highest percentage of PhDs in their like
but like German PhDs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though,
probably.
still. But it's this idea then, like bullshit or not PhD, it's still like the idea that like, oh, can you believe that they're, you know, well educated? It's like, yeah, like I've met a lot of fucking completely stupid people with PhDs, especially in this country, because every year there's a scandal of someone plagiarizing their thesis or some shit. But yeah, this like whole kind of background for her and this and that is like very, 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 very normal within the AfD.
As November said, least racist German, white German lesbian.
Hello. Hello, you do hear me? It's me, your cousin Marvin Hitler. You know that new party you've been looking for?
Yeah.
Well, listen to this.
That party you used to like is going to come back in style.
Yeah, it's mostly accordions, but they're saying very right-wing stuff over the top.
It's hard it's not coming out in the mix. You gotta listen to it.
So asked to explain the apparent incongruity between her private life and her party's opposition to, quote, gender and woke ideology, she said, "I'm not queer. I'm just married to a woman who I've known for 20 years."
We're just friends. This is actually just a coincidence.
Yeah.
I tripped and fell and landed with my tongue in her pussy. This is totally normal.
Germany gets like the early 90s anime dubs thing where the clearly lesbian couple are just called cousins.
So one senior party official put it, she's gay by biology, but not by political conviction.
Unlike Donald Trump.
She's going up there at the podium being like, I didn't choose this.
It is not a choice, of course.
I think like, you also get that looped up, like, because I think there's so much like cultural confusion there as well, because a lot of the times with gender, when referencing the right in Germany, is this like, stop trying to make me speak the woke German, is a lot of like what these right-wing grievances are.
Yeah, they banned gender speak in Bavaria, which is hilarious for a country that has gender.
Okay, we're choosing die or der. We are just choosing one, and it's the neutral one.
You know what?
Everything is boys now.
I have to agree with the anti-woke crusade if it came in the sense of having one article in German, all right? Like,
It doesn't make it easier for us.
come on, you don't need these.
They have made all of the things masculine, but now the book is gay with the bookcase. It has become woke.
No!
My non-binary book. God damn it.
Ein Reich, ein woke, ein gay Hitler.
Yeah, like you can imagine the amount of shit that happened to like Bud Light, but when they find out that beer in German is also das, like that was the same kind of like backlash shit.
Hate to see that.
What we can kind of, if we want to draw these two segments together, sort of US, Germany, I think what we're finding in both is ever since sort of the various political upsets of the 2010s, the official, if you want to say vibe shift, right? The vibe shift that has happened is that all of these
shifting
people...
the gender of the word vibe, which is also coming back in style.
Vibe is a word in German for a whore, by the way.
Yes, yeah. So
Oh my!
Okay, there we go.
But these, if you that shift, if you call it the vibe shift, is that these people, the political tendencies they represent, all of the powerful have sorted out all of their like lingering questions and doubts about whether or not they should be sort of fallen in behind Foursquare. And those questions have been resolved to, yes, they're fine. We can work with them. It'll be great. March in, you know, like the firewall of parties refusing to cooperate with AfD. How long is that going to last? The sort of widespread sort of condemnation of Trump, the differences between the first inauguration and this one, it's a universe of difference. Right, of the respect and deference that he so craved that is now being shown to him. And with someone like that, going back to Trump specifically, for whom respect and deference is so important, so personally important, but who knows what kind of difference that could make to someone who is so personalist and arbitrary in his rule. And with a lot of people who are like, you know, AfD bigwigs, they also crave, you know, looking to Ciaran and Nick for this one, respect and deference. And it seems as though the ground is being laid for them to have it, just as it's being laid to give it to reform in the UK. okay. I mean, yeah, we're saying like, okay, we're throwing up our hands. We'll have another grooming gangs inquiry because like all of the people who we used to think were political poison have asked for it, and we kind of have to do what they say because they're insiders now. What we have witnessed is a great insider making of people who were previously at least kind of outside.
Yeah, I mean, like the conversation when Trump got elected, like he's been inaugurated now, but the conversation was not like, there was no condemnation. There was no like America's gone to hell in a handbasket that you expect from Europe last time. It was all just like accommodation. How do we work with this? How do we make him happy? And this is like the cultural equivalent of it. The more material equivalent is just like speeding up construction of those LNG terminals and like the Atlantic coast. But like
on one last note with the Trump thing, I think one of the very, kind of going back then to the CDU on this is that then there is a general like the party of Mackel that then was like praised for so long internationally as being like a kind of like liberal conservative party overwhelmingly likes Trump this time around. There was always kind of like these like pockets within the CDU of like, oh yeah, like we think he's cool, but the general overwhelming attitude within the CDU, the incoming government, is that Trump is not only like, will they work with him, he has the politic that they like. The head of the CSU said this yesterday, that he thinks that the way that Trump does politics is great. He has a good attitude. The head of the CDU, Friedrich Merz, who will be the next chancellor of Germany, is going to send him like a love letter apparently to the inauguration. So this is also the thing too, is that regardless of the AfD and the super far right, also like the Maloneyization, I guess you can say, of like Europe has also made like of the like general like historical conservative parties has also made this easing up to Trump not even just like, oh, we have to do it. It's like they're happy about it. They're stoked.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's what they want. Anyway, that's all we have time for. But I want to thank Nick and Ciaran for coming on today and sharing some of their Europe knowledge with us. Where can people find you guys on the internet?
OperationGlad.io, greatest 60 euro ever spent, where you can find Corner Spaeti on anything that you download podcasts from. OperationGlad.io if you can't spell Spaeti, which is,
That's right.
a recurring problem.
We are the biggest idiots in the world for naming our podcast this. I fucking hate it. It's funny, and then you're all like, oh, all right. Like, no one has the extra A.
Let's have a primarily English-speaking podcast have some letters and sounds that don't really occur in the language.
I saw a German person explain what a Spaeti is to another German person in German, and I was like, "Oh, we fucked up so bad."
Yeah. Just on a quick little note, and I'll send this to you guys because we did talk about the AfD a bit. I wrote like for our show, like a full election overview thing because Germany has elections coming up. If the discussion about the AfD interested you, you can also take a peek at that. Like I said, I'll send it to the gang, or I think you can maybe find it on our website. I have no fucking clue. Anyway,
we'll link it.
So that is all I have to shout out is just like if you would like to read rather than hear our voices about the German elections, there's also that.
All right. Well, Milo, your usual dates are on your website.
Yeah, please. Especially Leicester Comedy Festival, 9th of Feb, Glasgow Comedy Festival, 12th of March, and also all the Australia dates are on sale in March and April. So get after those. MiloMembers.co.uk.
All right. Oh, well, the plugs are done. It's time for 4 more years, I guess. See you on the bonus episode in just a few short days. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.